Hi, Ranim.
Hi, Sahar.
How are you?
Very good.
Excellent.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming on.
I'm
so
excited.
happy that we finally made it, although I know you're not feeling your best, but
It's
I'm so
okay.
glad you still made it.
That's the purpose of what we're doing, right? You still need to show up, right?
Yes, that's true.
It just goes back to everything that we're doing. You need to show up, whether you're feeling good, whether you're feeling bad, because that's how people start to show up for themselves also.
100%. Look at you. Well, you started off really well.
Yeah, thanks.
Just spilling it already.
Thanks. I mean, it is. It's just, you got to show up. It just keeps,
true.
you got to keep replaying it in your head.
So basically, I do want everyone to know about your story, and your story is awesome. You are an amazing entrepreneur. I love what you're doing with Cyqlone, and I want people to know about it. And that's kind of why the first initiative of me, you were kind of the first person I would think of if I think of an entrepreneur, successful woman in Doha, and you are definitely on top of that list. And I want people to know kind of your journey. How did you start? What kind of was the moment that you're like, okay, I'm gonna open like a business that has to do with fitness and be in that industry, rather than maybe open a cafe or a restaurant, let's say, What was kind of the journey from who is Ranim first? Like, tell me all about her, and then maybe tell me like, where was the moment that you decided that this is the business that I want to open, and this is going to be my future? This is it. This is where my heart, soul, everything is going to go into it. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Okay, well, first, I really appreciate you saying that. It really means a lot, especially coming from someone like you, who I also do admire. You're a hard worker, and you're always also showing up for yourselves and for people. And that's an inspiration for me.
Thank you.
So we'll get right to it. So as a child, I was always a very hyperactive child. I always had a lot of energy, and I always participated in all the after-school sports activities that my school participated in. So I was in the basketball team, I was on the swim team, I was on the football team. I was always participating in all forms of sports and fitness.
Amazing.
And then obviously, as somebody who has to go on to study and go to college and university, I did my undergrad in journalism, and actually everything that I studied has nothing to do with what I'm doing today, or somewhat it does. But it wasn't the direction that I was going. I studied journalism because I love communication, and I love to be around people, and I love to talk to people. And then I went on to do my master's at NYU, and that's basically where it kind of all, let's say, fell into each other. All the little pieces of my life came together, where I was a very active child, and I studied communication. It formed into the dream of what is happening today during that time. So 2012, I moved to New York. I'm just turned 22 years old, the youngest in my master's degree program.
Ooh, smarty pants there.
Yeah, I mean, I tried. It was really hard to keep going in school because, one, I was the youngest, and two, I was also someone who came from the Middle East, and so the background and the education that I had was very different than the people that were with me in class. I had students that came from tier 1 universities, Ivy Leagues, and I came from Lebanon, which isn't bad, but it's different. It's a completely different level of academia. They were far more advanced than I was, in terms of their knowledge, in terms of their experience, all of it. I was young, and I didn't have the same kind of background and education as them, and obviously all of them being English as their first language, me growing up in an Arab household, all of these things had a role to play. And so I struggled to do well at NYU, and I did. Obviously, I put a point in my head that I was going to graduate. Giving up was not an option.
Did you know anyone in New York when you were
yes, my sister was a Columbia graduate. My sister is the brains of the family.
Amazing.
And so she just graduated Columbia, and I wanted to go live in New York with my sister, and I knew that I didn't even apply to Columbia. I applied to NYU, and I got in. And so when she knew that I got in, she's like, "Come, I'll help you. I'll help you with your essays and your thesis. I'm here to support you, because I want you to have a good education." She knew I was far too young to just move back to Doha, and she knew that I had so much more potential than what Lebanon offered me at the time. And I didn't want to, when I was going into my undergrad, I didn't want to go far away from Doha, which is why I ended up in Beirut. Because I wanted to be near my parents. My sister was far more daring than I was, and she immediately went straight to North America. So she was like, "Come to my side." So I finally.
The grass is greener on this side.
Yeah. She knew that there was a lot for me to learn while I was there. So I خلاص, like I made the decision to go.
Incredible.
So as I struggled in my studies, I started going to a fitness studio, a cycling studio called Cyqlone.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Cyqlone now is really, really popular, and it's a global name at this point. It's an international brand.
Exactly.
When I moved to New York in 2012, Cyqlone had like 2 studios in the city, and it was very, very underrated. Like not everybody knew it. But the demand for it was so high. They had a really good business model, and it worked. And so I started going to Cyqlone, and I started feeling great every single time I went to a class. And I noticed that, okay, I would not feel so great sometimes when I would walk out of my classes or when I would be around school, because I felt like there was so much more for me to do. And then I would go and I would release in my cycling classes, and as I would walk out, I would feel so empowered. I'd feel so inspired and so motivated.
A new person.
Like I'm a new person.
All the dopamine and all the rush is there.
Yeah, ready to conquer the world. I'm going to the library now. I want to write and finish my paper. Like I was inspired to like pour into all aspects of my life, because I was being refueled somehow with
it was filling your cup.
It was filling my cup, exactly. And it was allowing me to succeed in all aspects of my life, because it was almost like I was a nicer person, because I wasn't so aggravated or agitated based on pressure and stress that was obviously a natural result of going to a difficult university and at a master's level. I was like, okay, I love this feeling. I've continued my studies, and then I stayed for an extra year in New York after I graduated. And in that year, I started doing courses for like indoor cycling, instructor courses.
In New York?
In New York.
Incredible.
That's where it first started. So this is, now we're talking about 2014 to 15, right?
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I know I'm going to be working in communication when I go back to Doha, because I will have to put my degrees to use
at some point.
Literally, I wasn't gonna just come back and be like, okay, thanks for helping me and funding my education to my parents. I'm gonna go do my own thing now. No, I knew that I needed to somehow prove myself, but at the same time, there was like a calling. I had a passion for indoor cycling, and specifically the emotional attachment that came with it, the mental health, the physical health, emotional health. Like it really contributed to all aspects of my life, and I wanted to like de-stress, and this was the way that I was doing it, and I knew that other people would also be able to benefit from it.
I wanted to share it with the world.
Exactly.
Incredible.
Thank you for taking the words out of my mouth.
Most welcome.
Like I knew that it's almost like I felt guilty being able to experience this on my own, and I wanted to share it with as many people as possible, and I felt like this is a feeling that everybody deserves 100%. To feel. Like,
and I think that's the spark that we all get once you feel like this is your calling.
Yeah.
Like once you tap into that, and then you feel like, you know what? I want to share this with everyone. Like, how is this something that people are now doing on a daily basis?
100%.
Like, they're missing out on so much.
Exactly,
you know?
exactly. And not just missing out on so much, but missing out on so much potential to be able to do so much, right? Because like you're filling your cup, right? Like most people are just so used to living their lives on like a
they go on a zombie mode.
You know, like you know, they're on neutral, you know, and they're just smooth riding in life. Like instead of like just being able to like hit the driver,
full throttle,
put the car on sport and like just go like aim hard. And so I knew that this was something I wanted to share with the world. It wasn't a feeling that I felt comfortable just being able to experience on my own. I was like, everybody deserves to feel this way, because we're all under pressure, we're all stressed, we all have things that we deal with on a daily basis. Life is not easy. We're all faced with challenges, we're all faced with difficult encounters and experiences. This is part of everyday life. And you're speaking about somebody who at the time was 22 years old. She didn't really have many things to worry about, but it was still a bit stressful for her. So she knew on a grander scheme that she would be able to touch even more lives that were far more impacted by stress and pressure than what I was going through at the time. Like there are people that are in their mid-30s or mid-40s and who were attending classes with me, and I would see how they would feel when they would walk out of these classes. And I was somebody who was young, and it was like I wanted this to be my future, and not just mine, but everyone I knew and as many people as I could reach.
Like give it to.
Like the reach was so important to me. Like how many people would I actually be able to reach? And so I moved back to Doha. I started working.
Okay.
And the dream was always there. I always knew I wanted to do this. And so it started slowly, where like every time I would travel, I would go to different studios all over the world. So like prior to opening Cyqlone, I visited almost every state in America, so that I could take, not
It's
like
cycle everywhere.
cycle everywhere, and not just cycle everywhere, but boutique studios, and I would just feed off of their ideas, and I would
you get the best of all of them and put them all in one cup called Cyqlone.
Literally, exactly. Pick and choose, pull whatever ideas I thought that I could take, and I like slowly knew that this was gonna all come to place one day. Like it was all gonna come together.
Yeah.
I had a notebook where I would just like write things down. It was almost like a manifestation notebook, and I would like just try to be as detailed as possible with what I wanted to do. And so
Manifestation 101, girl.
Yeah.
You had it on point already before the whole talk about manifestation started and became like a trend. You know?
I mean, I read a lot about manifestation also.
Incredible.
Like I did a lot of reading about manifestation. I even like I would watch YouTube videos. I would like sign up for like online workshops and just listen to people talk about manifestation. So like really with manifesting.
Did you listen that time to the law of attraction and all of that? Remember when it was a thing? I think it was like back in high school or something.
Probably.
People started talking about the law of attraction and just think about it and then envision it and then you get it.
But it's far more, and it's far more deeper than just that.
100%.
Like manifesting is actually more about the details.
Exactly.
Than anything
and putting
else.
in the work too.
Yes.
Like you were manifesting and putting in so much hard work.
Yeah.
Because people think that, oh, okay, I'll just put it on my vision board and then it's gonna happen.
No.
And I'm just gonna look at it and pretend like I have it and then boom. It's gonna just, attract itself
It's
to
just
me.
gonna happen. No,
I wish it were that easy.
If it was, then everyone's manifestations would come true, right?
Exactly.
But like I think navigating your manifestations comes down to how clever you are about actually attracting it, and how passionate you are about it, and how much you really want it.
100%.
You know, you're only gonna get what you give, and you're only gonna get what you really want, what you believe in, truly.
Yeah.
And so it's all in the details, and it's not just about seeing it, but it's really about like pen to paper also, and it really is in the details of not just saying, oh, I want to open a studio, but like, what color is the studio going to be? What are the corners of the studio going to look like? The nitty gritties.
Yeah.
What are your trainers going to look like? What are their characters going to feel like? You know, like down to those details. What are the smoothies going to taste like?
Yeah.
You know, what's the vibe going to be like? You know, and so it all falls into things like this. That's how I manifested it, for example, and that's what I learned during my time of studying, researching, and learning about how manifestation works. And so this was me as I was working, and then I stopped working and decided, you know what, this is the time. It was right after COVID. I actually signed my lease right before COVID, so in 2019. And then
But where was that switch? Like there has to be like a flip of a switch that you're like, this is the time.
This is the time.
Like I'm gonna leave my job, my full-time job, where I have an income coming in every month. It is the safe comfort zone that I want to be in. But now I'm going all independent. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to have my own business. Money's going to flow out, and probably only out for a little while.
Yeah, literally, exactly.
You know. So what gave you that drive to just like jump?
Okay, so while I was working, and for a short period of time, even after I was working, I would still go around Doha and I would randomly look at like locations. So like I would scout locations randomly. So like it wasn't, I wouldn't say there's a jump, and we'll get to that, but it was always slowly kind of pouring.
You're like
seeping.
planting seeds.
I was
everywhere.
planting seeds. I was allowing it to slowly seep into my life, like cold brew coffee. If you want, okay?
Cheers to that.
Yeah, cheers to that.
I love that you use the coffee analogy.
Yes,
right there.
yes.
I see you. I see what you did there.
You know, because I know that you're gonna get it.
You know your audience too, right here.
Exactly, and I know that you would understand it, because that's kind of what it was like. Planting the seeds, letting it brew. And so I was married. When I got divorced, I said, okay, khalas, this is the time. Because I had already been planting the seeds for so long. And after I got divorced and left my job, I was like, khalas, this is it. Like, this is the only thing I've ever really wanted, or the one thing I've wanted for as long as I can remember. And I'm at that point where like I don't have a job, and I don't have the responsibilities that I did when I was married. And so I was like, this is it. And so I got divorced August 2019. I signed my lease November 2019. And then I was like,
time.
I mean, the divorce was kind of also
Do you feel like that gave
working
you a
its
push
way.
as well, in a way?
Somehow.
To make the leap?
Yeah, probably.
Because you wanted something to keep going and it was like a healthy distraction?
One, a healthy distraction, and two, I got rid of the unhealthy distractions.
Okay.
Do you know what I
hear
mean?
you.
I got rid of what was an unhealthy distraction at the time because
What wasn't filling your cup,
which
but
wasn't
now
filling my
it's
cup.
time to kind of take care of you.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I was like,
Yeah.
now I have time to focus on myself.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I didn't have time to focus on myself, and that in and of itself is not healthy. And so I was like, okay, now that I'm moving towards a different chapter
Yeah.
that is solely dedicated to me, my growth, and my purpose, and fulfilling that, this is the time.
Yeah.
So I signed my lease. 3 months later, the whole world shuts down.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Girl.
Yeah.
Talk about challenges.
Challenges and
Yeah.
like signs. I was like, is this a sign? I've been
Yeah,
manifesting
it's
this for the last
true.
10 years. Why is this happening?
Exactly.
But I was so rooted in my vision and so grounded in what I believed in and the purpose behind it all that it never took me a step back. If
That's
anything,
incredible.
I stood my ground. I'm like, I am going to keep going.
And I think
Nothing is stopping me. COVID.
Like bring it on.
Bring
the
it
world
on.
wants to shut down, I'm open.
Yeah, bring it on, COVID. Bring
It's
it on. You
incredible.
can't stop me. You
Yeah.
can't beat me. I'm still gonna do this.
Exactly, and I feel like the fire that you have is what every successful entrepreneur has in them.
Of course.
Because people think that it's like just luck and and money and time and whatever
It's
that
really
made
not.
it all happen.
No.
Completely not. I mean, maybe for some.
But then
They
it
were
doesn't
brought in-
last.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't.
Exactly,
Because the
'cause
passion
then-
isn't there.
Exactly, and if something like were to happen, like Rona or anything
Ugh.
major, like like if any speed bump comes into their way, and if you don't have that fire, you might as well have gone into like the whole. Especially if you're like you're manifesting, and you read all about it, and you might have gone like, oh, maybe this is a sign. Like maybe this is not for me. Maybe I should wait.
So many times I've thought that by the way.
Yeah,
Like naturally,
I bet,
these
yeah.
things are gonna come into
You
your
kind of
life.
question yourself.
Of
Is this
course.
am I doing this
The
like
right thing.
Yeah,
Is
the
this
right
the right
time,
time? Of
yeah,
course. Like
yeah,
these
yeah.
things come into your head, but then you're just like, no, I've already started. If not now, when? I've been already planting seeds for so long.
Exactly.
Like خلص لإمتى.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
like
Yeah,
until
yeah.
when am I gonna keep planting seeds?
Yeah.
Eventually, I might miss the train, and that became like almost like a fear for me. Oh God, I might miss the train. If I miss the train, that's it. Like I may not be able to ever get this chance again.
Incredible.
And so I was like, I had already signed. I'm halfway through COVID.
That's it. I'm in.
I'm
all
in.
in.
I'm all in
Yeah.
at this point, and even though I wasn't all in, but mentally I was.
Yeah,
You
because
know?
it's like you signed the contract. Technically, you can pull out
Of course.
because everybody could like during. I mean,
100%.
the world we thought was ending, like you said.
Exactly.
But it's like you didn't want to use that as an option.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like I have my eyes set on the
Yes.
end goal. This is it.
Yeah. Nothing's
Yeah.
gonna stop me.
Mm.
And so I just kept going, and so COVID happened, and construction took some time, and then we were able to open, alhamdulillah, successfully at the end of 2021.
Incredible.
And so it was a soft opening because COVID was still around us, and so I
Yeah.
couldn't even do a grand opening until May 2022.
Oh, wow.
And so for 6 or 7 months, we were like soft opening, just trying to like get our name out there, attract people, kind of establish the concept of what I'm trying to do to clients in the community. And essentially it comes down to me really wanting to like build a community of people who are benefiting from this shared experience of walking into a room, disconnecting from the outside world for 45 minutes, filling your cup with everything that you need to be able to go back to the world as strong and as capable and as powerful as you possibly can, which is what the feeling was when I was at NYU. Like I would go into that class for 45 minutes and then I'm like, where's the library? I'm going now. And so I wanted people to feel like they would come to my class for 45 minutes and then they would leave and say, okay, where was I? I'm ready to go tackle what I was doing right before I walked in much better than I was going to be able to do it right before the class. You're like, it's almost like it's an empowerment, right? And then the feeling of being able to do this with people in the class with you, I mean, it's like 30 bikes, right? So you're going to have around 20 people at least around you in the class, and so you're feeding off of these people's energy, and it's an exchange.
Exactly.
So you're giving and you're getting, and you're learning and you're building, and you're empowering, and you're also creating a community.
Exactly.
And that's for me like I measure priceless. Like when people ask me about like how's Cyqlone's doing, I always say I measure my success from based on the faces that I see in the studio,
Yeah.
like the smiles, the clients.
Yeah. Not everything is monetary. You won't
No.
always get that. Like, and you, I mean, I'm sure running the business for this long so far, you know that it takes time for the financial part to
Of
come
course.
in. So what keeps you going till then?
Exactly.
So you start seeing return on investment.
Exactly.
It's what and how you see people come out of your classes,
Yes.
and the glow on their faces, the happiness that you spread. You can put a price tag
No,
on that.
we
you
can't.
know? Yeah.
I mean, obviously, in the last 2 years, there was like heavy financial strain on us, and there was a lot of ups and downs, and there was a lot of moments of a lot of difficult moments, and a lot of moments that almost felt hopeless to me. But then you just go around and you look at someone in the studio, and you see how happy they are to have walked out of this class and how good they feel. And there's something so
Magical.
humbling.
Yeah.
To be able to change someone's day.
100%.
There's something that really humbles me to know that I was able to change someone's day from bad to good,
Yeah.
or from good to better.
Yeah.
You know, it's so humbling, and that's a kind of, I think, that's what the world,
essence of it all.
essence of it all, and that's what the world needs more of.
Yes.
You know,
I hear you.
and so like we have so many of our clients that have met like their partners or have made close friends with people at the studio, and when we see them kind of finishing class, I know that these people didn't know each other a month ago,
Yeah.
and now they're like finishing class and showering and going to have dinner after. So like that goes back to like, oh wow, I'm like, wow, I've successfully been able to create a community, because look at them, we've made people have friends, have a support system, have people around them, which, you know, at the end of the day, essentially we live in a country with a large number of expats, people who live here alone, and so it's nice to see that we are actually really able to impact people's lives in such a beautiful and positive way.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, being like you said, living in a diversified place, and it's kind of like, for most people, at least not for us, we've been here forever.
Yeah,
right?
I know. Literally, I mean,
we don't count here as people who are just passerbys
at this point, literally. But we get it also.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we're in between.
Yeah, and we see a lot of people come and go. Like a lot of our own friends have left. Like we don't have the same friends since school, since high school, college, work days, whatever. People are usually here for like a couple of years and then they're leaving, right? So you kind of know it's kind of temporary. So not everyone has the energy, and sometimes they don't feel like spending as much effort in making friends. They're like, I'm just here just for a little while, but then they realize how depressing it can be, and then it kind of becomes, you know, it's like one domino effect after the other, because they realize, okay, if I'm gonna stay at home, I'm only gonna work, I'm gonna do this, but hello, you're here for like maybe a couple of years, but are you really like enjoying this new adventure, this new chapter that you chose to like come here for? And maybe you didn't choose. Let's say you were forced here, you know, maybe even as a teenager, because again, I'm hoping like all different age groups are listening to this, right? We want to be able to kind of help them get into it and from a younger age, but also understand that, let's say you came here because your parents came here to work, right? And you still have to make friends. I mean, what best way to make friends other than through sports?
Of course.
Right? The best community, because we're like the most hyper people like you'll find probably.
Best
you know?
energy.
Yeah, best energy, best community, and you get to pick and choose. There are so many different communities around. From like we were just talking about it a while ago, like from cyclists to triathletes to this and that. Like you can start at such a young age and build yourself and grow into that community, and you don't necessarily have to leave later on. If anything, you might find your place here and love it.
Exactly.
You know, even as an adult coming here to work. Even if you're just here, you know, let's say 100%, I'm only here for 2 years, but why don't you make like amazing connections with people and maybe learn something from other people? And even if it's temporary, what if that friendship is something that will change your life? What if that, you know, community that you kind of invested yourself into, and it was like we were saying, it's a healthy distraction too. You don't want to just go to work and come back and that's it, you know, or even, you know, barely like go out every weekend just to like have dinner somewhere and that's it. But there's more to life.
Of
like
course.
it's, and getting into our sorts of community, I feel like gives you a broader perspective into that. And they help you, and especially if you know people like us, so we've been here forever, we'll take you around, we'll be your tour guides,
exactly.
We'll tell you where to go, and we'll tell you exactly what to do, and to enjoy this like, you know, temporary phase in your life. But why not? Maybe it could be the best time of your life, you know. But if you just invest the right time and effort into it, maybe it'll help you change and maybe better yourself as a person,
Exactly.
right? Because at the end of the day, like the more that you invest in yourself and the more that you want to kind of, you know, grow, you can only do that by living a healthy lifestyle, right? And that lifestyle has to come by you building the roadblocks to it, you know?
And so finding your support system, right?
Exactly.
Like
yeah.
we all need a support system. And so it starts, that needs to, like, as you were saying, that support system is a fundamental part of building that roadmap.
Exactly.
And then, like you said, like they think that they may not be here for very long, but that support system may be the reason that they end up being here for even longer than expected, because it's something that they may not find anywhere else. It comes back to like connections with people, right?
100%.
You're connecting with people.
We are human beings.
Exactly.
We need connection.
Exactly.
Like we can't live without other humans.
100%,
Like even if you're an introvert, you still need human connection. And what if like you investing in yourself physically, which is what you'd be doing by going to the studios, by spending time, because it's not just financial investment, it's time investment too. And what if you do all that and you reap the benefits of it by doing so much better at work? Because just like you were saying, like you felt like you could conquer the world after coming out of that cycle class every time, and you want to like make so much effort, and you want to go to the library, you want to read. That's got nothing to do with like, you know, fitness.
No.
That's just your life. That's like your, you know, that's you
feeling good.
Yeah. And then you becoming a bigger, wiser, more mature person. You're growing, like even like brain and, you know, mentally, you're growing as a person, and it just opens kind of like the sky is the limit, you know, because you feel like that drive. And it's not just the drive to, you know, work out. No, it's the drive in life in general. It just sparks that fire in you that you're aware, you're awake, you're there for it, and you want to give it your best, whether it's at work, whether it's in life, whether it's for your partner, you're just present, you know? And I think that is something that we all kind of need to highlight, you know? And that's why a lot of people, for example, who come in, I'm sure you have people coming and telling you like, oh, this is my first class, and I don't know if I really want to do this, or even people who have never worked out, but then they find out, like, let's say you own a business, and they're like, yeah, what's it like? Like, I don't feel like this is my thing.
Those are my favorite people.
Oh, yeah. So what do you tell them?
Those are my favorite people.
Because I feel like there's still a lot of those out there, and I really hope they're listening. Because
they're the easiest to, like, switch and change, because they're the ones that are really looking for something.
They're like a sponge waiting to absorb like, what you got to say. Exactly. They want to be convinced deep down inside.
They're looking for something, right? They're seeking it.
Yeah.
It's actually much more difficult to bring somebody who is like heavily invested in CrossFit and has been the last 10 years of their lives into doing something that's like a Pilates or Barre or yoga or cycling. Then it is actually like I prefer like a fresh canvas, like you know, and then we can paint them.
Let me help you draw.
We can create their character and build it together. And so those people are just seeking something, right? And it goes back to what you were saying about like taking care of people and trying to like show them around. It's almost like we feel somewhat responsible for them, and that goes down to again what you were saying, awareness. And that awareness comes from our ability to be aware of our essential purpose as human beings on earth, which is actually to be service of others.
Exactly.
We are not here for ourselves. We are here to service others. Otherwise, every person would live on a different corner around the world or on different planets.
Yeah.
But we're actually here for each other. And so that's why that support system, that community, that collective energy, that space where we come together to share smiles and sweat and that shared experience, it all comes down to the very foundation and the basics of humanity. 100%. Like we're here for each other. And so it comes back down to I'm here because I do what I do because I want to make other people happy. We all as individuals all over the world all service people one way or another, whether we like it or we don't. Somehow we do it, right? Some people do it in a grander scheme of things. Some people doing it on more of a micro. You know, كل واحد على قده, I guess, like they say. And so I guess this is where, and especially with fitness, and like you said, it's such a good way for people to meet people and connect with people, because that awareness is already part of the essence of that entire industry. Helping people, building confidence, building stronger individuals, building a community, empowering people, it all falls under it, and it goes back to the basics. Humanity 101.
True.
You know,
exactly. I love it.
Be a service of others.
And again, like, I mean, with everything that's happening in the world now, especially you know, there will be peaks of times where stress is high, like
Exactly.
globally, right?
100%.
It's not just personally, because
No, for sure.
we're all going through something, right? We're
Yeah.
all going through our own stressful lives, whether it's people are going through, I don't know, a loss, they're
Mhm.
grieving, or whether they're even, you know, losing their job,
Mhm.
the divorce, loss of
Difficult.
a person like
Yeah.
they love, a partner, however it is, they're all like, even just the daily stress of work. You know, some people are working in jobs they wish they hadn't signed up for, you know,
Exactly.
and that kind of stress is not something you can avoid.
No.
You know, right? You can eventually avoid, because you're going to try to work your way out of it to
But
try
you're
to find
suppressing.
exactly, and your body like feels it, and you're
Mhm.
gonna start feeling it in sense of like, you know, getting, you know, God forbid, but you get like autoimmune disease, you start getting gut health issues, you start, and it starts like sounding in so many different ways, mentally, physically, emotionally, and then it just kind of ripples around you for the, you know, everyone that's around you, including your friends.
Mhm.
It starts affecting them because they see you're not okay,
Mhm.
and then you're obviously not yourself, you're not, you know, aware, you're not present anymore,
Mhm.
because you're just so drenched into, you know, that stress, it's
Mhm.
piling up, and then eventually you don't feel like yourself.
Of course.
You know?
I mean, we're sensitive humans.
Yeah, and even the people who try to think like, oh, I can get through anything,
Mhm.
I'm good, you know, I don't need any help, I don't need this, I don't need that. No, we are
Mhm.
suppressing,
Yeah.
because I was one of those people who
Yeah, of course.
found it really difficult to ask for help, and I would
Mhm.
suppress so much because I didn't want people to know I'm not okay.
Mhm.
You know, I was going through so much, even like, and this is growing up. Again, this was something that I had to kind of somehow, because I didn't know better,
Mhm.
so I just decided to suppress the emotion, and I was going through trauma and no one knew,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah, of course.
like, except obviously like the household and,
Mhm.
you know, the people connected to
Of
it,
course,
right?
the closest people.
Yeah, and it's like, and no one was doing anything to help, you know, and I'm just like, and I felt for some reason ashamed to
Mhm.
kind of like talk about it. Like, if
Mhm.
people ask me, they'll know, like, as
Mhm.
if it's my fault, and I'm just like, but you don't know better growing up. Like,
Mhm.
you kind of hold it in and you don't know what's happening, but at the same time, it gets to you at some point. It
Mhm.
catches up
Oh,
with
for
you
sure.
as you grow older, and you're like, okay, shit.
Yeah.
I got a lot of boiled up and, you know, bottled up stuff that, whether it's
I need to
anger
deal
or
with.
whether, and
Yeah.
you need to start peeling
Yeah,
away
of
those
course,
layers
yes.
until you get to that core part of that trauma,
Mhm.
and everything else it just resulted in, you know,
Mhm.
and you're like, okay, wait, I need to delve deeper.
Mhm.
And even if, like, I grew up, you know, very I was a sporty kid, I was like you, I was active, I
Mhm.
was like jumping off walls,
Mhm.
but at the same time, I think that's what kept me sane, that's what kept the balance.
Mhm.
But at the same time, not everyone has that. What if
Mhm.
someone is not as, you know, active during their life growing up, you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
as an adult?
Yeah.
It won't naturally come to them. So it's for these people that I feel like we need to bring them
Oh,
even
yeah.
more. I feel like
Yes.
more responsible to bring
Yes.
them onto this side,
Yeah.
because they're missing out on so much.
Yeah.
And I wonder sometimes, like, what do you do when you bottle up all these emotions? I'm sure you've been going through a lot, even on a daily basis.
Mhm.
Like, how do you manage your stress?
Mhm.
Because it's more of stress management that we're trying to help
Of
people
course,
like
yes.
do when, because they think, oh, it's just like workout, it's just for physical. But you're like, no,
Yeah.
you have no
No,
idea.
it's much more than that.
You're
Like, it's
missing out
mental.
on, yeah,
More
exactly.
than it is physical, actually.
Yeah, exactly. You just feel more awake. You feel
Mhm.
more present. You feel like you are stronger. You build that confidence, like you were saying,
Mhm.
like to be able to handle everything in
Mhm.
life, even if, like, let's say nothing changes, but it's how you see things. You feel like, you know what, I can conquer. I can do this. I can handle so much stress because I'm okay.
Mhm.
You know, like,
Yeah.
I've just released, and it's biological. Like, you can't resist it. When
Yeah.
you work out, you release dopamine.
of course.
You release all these like happy hormones because
Yeah.
of the community. So you get all these good happy hormones released in your body. So you have to feel better
Of
and
course,
stronger.
of
Like,
course.
mentally, physically, your gut gets better. Everything. You know.
become addicted to that feeling.
Exactly, and that's a good addiction.
Yes,
So
yes,
bring
yeah,
it on,
yeah,
you
it's a
know?
good addiction.
Yeah.
I mean, the people that aren't doing this are the people who don't really know what it feels like,
Mm.
right? So, like you said, you want to just like try to convince them and try and like lure them into like experiencing that kind of feeling.
Mhm.
They don't know what it feels like. You know,
Yeah.
we become addicted to it because we know the benefits, the impact, all of it of what
Yeah.
we're doing. We know
Exactly.
what we're doing for ourselves, and we know how it benefits
Mhm.
us, and we know what it will do for others, and that's why we continue to do what we do, right?
Exactly, and we love it, and that's why you were one of the first people I reached out to, because I love what you're doing, and I love the fact that you're spreading it, and you are like you have been creating that community, and I think you're changing people's lives. You know what better way like to have an act of service and a purpose to live for.
Of course,
that's something beautiful, and I think and I applaud you for that. For taking that step and being part of making this community a better place and a happier place. There's no better service than that. I believe. You know, and we're all working, and you and I are believers of the same faith. Like for the thereafter. What better way to kind of work for the afterlife than this. Helping people live a better life, a happier life, and it affects everyone else around them too. So it's not like you're just saving that person's life per se.
It's much bigger than that. It's a grander scheme of things. Today, tomorrow, forever, and forever ever.
Yeah, and you're helping that person. Like, let's say if it's a father, he's way more like energetic and aware and present for his kids because he just like crushed a class that he was so happy in. It was just a cycling class, but people go like,
it feels great about it
wasn't
after.
Just a cycling class, it's everything. Like it makes you feel like you've accomplished something. And
that isn't easy.
Exactly.
So there's also that mindset, right, where you're in the class and the class isn't easy, and you're able to finish the class, and you walk out saying, "Wow, if I was able to do this, then I can do a lot more than I think I can."
Exactly.
So like you're empowering people's mindset also, which ultimately means their mental health.
Yeah, but I don't want us to kind of skip as well this part of making sure that people understand what's in Cyqlone too, because I feel like we have started with the cycling part. See, we fell into that trap.
I did mention Pilates, Barre, and yoga at some point.
Yes. So I do want them to know that you do have strength and conditioning classes.
We do have strength and conditioning classes.
So we do use weights, resistance training,
boot camp, HIIT,
yes, and
lower body, upper body conditioning. So actually Cyqlone is a 3-room studio. It's everything we need under one roof. It brings together the trilogy of what we need for our bodies, which is cardio, flexibility, mobility, and strength and conditioning.
100%.
And so it's all under one roof. All our classes are 45 minutes, and so you're able to do 2 classes in 2 hours. And so it's like maximum impact with in the least possible time, right? So like maximize as much as you can without having to do or go and go from place to place to get to do these multiple
you have
workouts.
everything in one place. And it's a boutique studio, so
and
you're like all bougie and shit while you're doing it.
There you go. We have all our little branded clothing. Get your Cyqlone
even the
t-shirt.
shampoo and conditioner are branded.
Everything,
you're all like good to go.
Yeah.
Everything is pristine and on point. And I love your attention to details as well in that. As a girl who has attention to details, I see you.
Thank you. Thanks.
I really did appreciate that.
Thanks. I think it comes with being a female business owner, honestly.
Yes, but honestly, I have seen a lot of like business owners. Not everyone pays that much attention. But because you have passion for what you're doing, that's what makes a difference. Your attention to every little detail, that you get into the nitty-gritties and it means something to you. You know that it makes a difference to go into a place that's, and we're not just talking about like just shiny. It's not just shiny. No, like it is quality.
Of course. I mean, it does make a difference, because that's how I felt when I was going in seeing other places, right? Like I'd walk into like a random studio in like Dallas, Texas, and I would see like they have Dyson hair dryers. Why don't we have? We should have. I mean, I don't even dry my hair. I don't use a hair dryer, but the way it looks, I like the way it looks. And I like the way it makes people feel. It makes it feel like it's it's very prestigious, and everybody wants to feel like they're getting a bit of
pampered. Like they're taking care
it's a luxury experience. We are all looking for that, right? We want to feel like we're being spoiled and pampered, and we're going somewhere that kind of we feel seen and heard. You know what I mean? And like it's really these details, they make such a huge difference in the long term. Like people don't think of it as much, but they actually make such a big difference.
That's true, because some of them, like once they start going to other places, whether it's around the world or in town or whatever, when they notice these things are not there, then they'll go like, oh wait,
they'll appreciate us much more.
But we're paying the same here and there. But we're not getting the same experience. Like, wait for it. I think I'm like living the life of a bougie person here, and I got used to it. And I think we feel it living here for so long. Like we got used to the lavish life. People think we live in a bubble, and they say it to us like it's a bad thing. Like, hello, I don't mind living in my bubble. I enjoy my bubble. Like, and it doesn't make us like, people think like we become sort of like snobs or whatever. Not at all. We do appreciate. I mean, maybe for some people they do become that way because they grew up in it.
Yes.
But even us growing in it, like as long as you're aware that there is the other side, and you are still, you're still humanitarian, you're still grateful for, this is something that is extra.
Yeah.
This is something that you are very grateful for every single day of your life, and that you are, you're lucky. We are lucky to live such a life, we do count our blessings a lot, as long as you don't take it for granted. And I don't think that makes us like bad people.
Not at all.
In that
Not
sense,
at all.
like, if anything, I enjoy my bubble. I want to stay in my bubble.
Especially if we're kind of killing them in their classes, right?
Exactly.
Like we need to be able
it's
to
like, I'm
compensate.
Sorry, here, you can blow dry
You
your
can
hair with the dice.
exactly. You can while your legs are trembling, you can still get to dry your hair with a Dyson hair dryer.
Exactly, or wash your hair
Like,
with some wax to tell you feel better.
It makes the trembling sensation a little less painful, because you feel like you're getting something out of it that makes you feel good.
Exactly.
So like you gotta give and take, right? That's basically
true.
goes back to what we said earlier as well.
And I think even as a trainer, and for those who don't know, I do freelance with Ranim at Cyqlone, and I was lucky to be part of that family too. So I have gotten a taste of it, and that's why I love like bringing you on board, because I know what it's like being a part of that family. And even as a trainer, like I've trained in shred classes, like resistance training. I still give Barre classes there. And
catch Sahar in the bar room.
Yes, please. Every Wednesday and Thursday, 7 p.m.
Yes, catch her in the Sculpt room, leading the bar.
Everywhere. I love it. And even as trainers, I feel like because we do kind of, it complements what we're doing, and it helps us make people feel better, because you're part of something that you believe is so good. And that's where it's like being in a company where the quality of what you're providing is complemented by the support system internally. That they're getting their full experience. It's not just you alone giving everything, but then when they step out of the class, it's like meh. No, they're getting the whole shebang.
Of course.
Like bang for the buck, you're getting it.
Exactly.
You're getting the whole thing, and people are gonna walk out like happy. It's the vibes, the energy, and I've seen people like transform from A to Z. Like I've been with you for maybe, I don't know, a year and a half,
maybe
2 years, something like that. At least a year. And I've seen people transform.
Yeah.
Like I've seen people like go to like 3 classes a day.
Of course.
I mean, I don't know what they're on, but
I've seen people do.
that's a bit extra to me. But but if it's what they need. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's not like I'm vouching or like I'm not
saying that's the norm. It's not the norm.
It's not. Yeah,
but they're just so motivated, right?
Exactly.
And they're so happy because it's a healthy environment, and it just keeps them going.
Yeah, and if this is what they need to feel better,
go for it.
If this is what they need to be able to withstand the pressures of work and life, if they feel like they're here alone while their family's elsewhere, and this is the only thing that makes them feel alive, well, hello.
That's a great way to release.
Well, there goes your saving grace.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. Happiest people.
Exactly.
Because they're just releasing and letting go of all the stress.
Exactly. I mean, I'd rather you be in the studio like killing it 3 hours instead of like just being at home sulking or wallowing or 100%. Being depressed or just I don't know, like
binge eating, just to like pass the time,
watching TV, not moving,
building bad habits.
Exactly.
So this way at least they're building healthy habits.
100%. And I love everything you touched on. I think you highlighted so many important things in one go, and it was a beautiful conversation. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate the fact that you still came when I know you're not feeling your best. But
I'm a little sniffly today.
Yeah,
I mean, 'tis the season, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's okay. Like I said, show up. You gotta show up.
100%.
That's what you have to do for yourself, and that's where the growth happens. That's where the change happens.
That's true. And thank you so much for everything you do for us, for this community, and for coming onto this simple and cash podcast. I hope you enjoyed the conversation.
I really did. I loved it. Thank you so much for having me.
You're most welcome. I appreciate it. Thanks for
come to Sahar's classes.
Yeah.
That's gonna be my last message.
Exactly. And signing off.
Bye. Bye. Thank you so much.
Take care.